All right, have and have not fans. Now, personally speaking, I feel like this is one of the more confusing episodes of the season. Now, I stand by my score of an 8 out of 10. It was a very decent episode, better than last week's episode. I believe it was, what was it? In His Eyes? Wait, hang on. Yeah, that's right. In His Eyes, because this one was the rabbit in the water moccasin. Now, the reason I'm confused is because of, I want to know how much time. I realize that in the haves and the have-nots, in certain episodes, like, they'll show like 4 different scenes with a bunch of different characters. However, in some instances, it's like, okay, this is happening at the exact same, like Jim and David are talking at the hotel at the same time that Hannah is at home talking with Benny or something like that. So I understand that concept, but usually that's within a given time frame, like, oh, okay, I know all these events are happening during the afternoon. And then sometimes it's like it'll be the afternoon in one scene, then we could tell several hours have passed due to like the background, the daylight and whatnot. But this episode confused me really in the sense that, okay, we know that last week that's when Melissa and Hannah were in the kitchen talking, Hannah giving Melissa like some reassurance and God and everything will be okay because, like, hey, I got to go to work. And we know for a fact that back at the Cryer mansion, like, her and Celine will show up early in the morning, and then they would leave around like 6 o'clock or something along those lines. 6, 5, 4, basically the evening. That's when they would leave. They would leave before the night, but they would leave in the evenings. So we know for a fact that in this last episode we saw Hannah walking out of the front door because 6 p.m. That's when we know that she got off of work, because this was mentioned. It's like, how did you know I was getting off? And Derek was like, no. Miss Cryer told me to come over here at 6 p.m. to check on the sprinklers and then have the flowers, which he was planning to leave on the front stoop, because he didn't know if Hannah was busy. And it might seem creeperish, but I do believe that Catherine was the one that told him what to do, because the flowers were a dead giveaway, because those just so happened to be her favorite flowers. So yes, I do believe that was entirely orchestrated by Catherine. But also keep in mind that in the last episode, I think that's when Derek and Hannah, kissed in the kitchen. And Derek did ask, if they can go get coffee or do something after work. And she's like, okay, but this isn't going to be an everyday thing. So if this was the same day, which I'm pretty sure it was, then yeah, Hannah really shouldn't have said, oh no, I just got to go home and take care of dinner for Benny. My question is, if Benny wasn't in her life in terms of living with her and whatnot, what would her excuse be? Because if anything, it's like she's using her son as an excuse to not go out and do stuff with Derek or any other romantic interest. But she did invite him over, so that was pretty cool. I just hope that if he and Benny engage again, Benny isn't a complete asshole again. So there's that. But I'm wondering, all right, so earlier in the episode, I believe it was like very early in the episode, Catherine and Hannah are talking. It's like, hey, the whole house is clean. It's like, wow, this is a big job. I'm like, dang, it is a big house. So a lot of stuff got done. But keep in mind that Jim returned home, so I'm assuming that was like that morning. It's like, oh, it's still morning because Jim finally got home, from the hotel. Last night he left Gia's room, was about to go in the elevator, and he told Oscar, I'm about to go home. And we know for a fact that it was last episode, when Oscar was calling Jim, it was still that morning, because he pretty much called down to the front desk with Broderick multiple times about the whole, hey, I need a car at 8:15 so I can be at the computer store at 9 a.m. so I can get the computer to handle my business. Then we see him get back to the hotel, open up the computer, the Cryer company, that money's still there. That's why he called Jim, is like, hey, can you check the account, write the check and all this stuff. So yeah, when Oscar called Jim, that was still the morning. So that's why I assume it's like 1 minute we see Jim get on the elevator. So when he got back to Catherine's house, it was still the next morning. And another sign that it was the next morning was because around midnight, Oscar gave Vinny. His real name is Oscar in real life, but Vinny gave Wyatt the drugs. And he's like, look, get the drugs, but in the morning, you better call the bank, because if not, I want to F you up. All right, so Wyatt got the drugs strung out. I think he said like around tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock or something like that, he can give the bank a call. And you know, the money should be in there. Like, you know, because he went over the spending limit. So the next business day, that's when it should be set up again for him to withdraw money from the ATM. It wasn't in there. So he calls the bank. I'm pretty sure Vinny wouldn't let Wyatt be strung out until like 6 p.m. the next day. Because that's like, what? 18 hours of being knocked out. I doubt Vinny is going to be that patient with Wyatt. So I believe that when he woke him up at the end of the last episode and the ATM wasn't working, then we get to the beginning of the rabbit in the water moccasin when he's calling the bank and then calling his parents. I was under the impression it was still that morning. Then we have the scene, of course, you know, with Derek and Hannah taking place presumably at 6 p.m. And then we get to the bar again for the cliffhanger where Wyatt and Vinny are fighting, and then he slashes his throat. So I'm thinking that it was still morning, even though that made no sense, because in the next episode where Jim takes Wyatt back to Catherine's house and then they have a fight there and Wyatt goes out the front door, it looks like it's nighttime. So yeah, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Am I off in my time frame of the episode? Was I the only one that noticed this? Because maybe I feel like if the Wyatt scenes happened at the beginning of the episode, it would have made a lot more sense. But I understand why the whole Vinny being stabbed in the neck was the cliffhanger, because it made you, I was like, oh my God, is he alive? Is he dead? What's going on here? But yeah, let me know in the comment section below. Was this episode a bit off in terms of the scenes not making sense in terms of what time of the day they were said to be in? Because it really was conflicting between what was supposed to happen that morning as opposed to, okay, Hannah's getting off of work at 6 when Derek showed up with the flowers to check the sprinklers. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did anybody else catch this? And I'll talk to you later.